bit about the direction of potential travel for the tech. I think another issue you touched upon was the risks. And you've been very clear about existential risks, that these are often made up, and there are false analogies being brought into the conversation. And so that doesn't mean that you're careless, but your focus is more on the short-term and the medium-term risk. And that's something that concerns us at the United Nations as well. One of the risks you highlighted was this concentration of tech power and the need to kind of have a more open approach to building it out. So what would you counsel countries that they do not lose sight of the risks, but at the same time they don't constrain this open approach to innovation? So what's the sweet spot?
Okay, so a number of different things that need to be considered. At the moment, AI systems in their current incarnation in the form of LLMs are not particularly dangerous because they're not particularly smart. They rarely, almost never, give you information that is not available from a textbook or a library. They just accelerate the access to it and widen the access, which is why people are imagining scenarios where badly intentioned people will have access to recipes for bioweapons. Now, one thing that needs to be considered there is that having a recipe for bioweapon is relatively easy. Building a bioweapon is incredibly complicated, particularly if you don't want it to kill yourself. So, in my opinion, this danger is hugely overestimated. There's cybersecurity, so people say, oh look, my new system is so powerful, we're not going to release it because it can break into lots of secure systems. Now, if you have a system like this that can detect weaknesses, you can use it to solidify your own cybersecurity system. So there is a matter of, are the good guys faster, smarter, better programmers than the bad guys? And the answer is almost certainly yes. I mean, it's not almost certainly, it's certainly yes. And so, having those systems have their own antidotes, if you want, in them. So it shouldn't be scared of this, right? This kind of first order effect, oh my god, they can penetrate security systems. Okay, two questions. First of all, penetrating a system doesn't mean you're going to bring down the electrical grid or anything. You can't do this at that scale. That's a James Bond scenario, but it doesn't happen in reality. And then second, can I use this to protect myself? And the answer is yes, right? So just do that. I mean, every new technology opens the door to new nefarious effects that badly intentioned people. But generally, we have countermeasures that appear pretty quickly. And there's nothing, absolutely disastrous that you can expect from those systems. Okay, so don't overestimate the dangers. Now, of course, a lot of people in counterintelligence are in the business of, being professionally paranoid. So clearly, you have to think about those things, but don't overestimate it and sort of kill your sovereignty because of this. That's one element. Second element is, as I was saying in my keynote, that is contrary to kind of a picture of open access to AI systems. And so those two things should be weighed against each other. That's where I disagree with my dear friend Yosha Benju, whom you mentioned earlier. He's much more worried about bad uses, in particular bad uses by even the companies producing those AI systems, because he thinks if it's motivated by profit, bad things will happen. I don't know if it's right about this. I don't think so, but again, the solution to this is open source platforms. And then there is the issue, the sci-fi issue of, is AI going to take over the world? Are we going to lose control, etc.? So one point about LLMs, if you believe that we're going to scale LLMs towards human-level AI, then you might be entitled to be worried, because LLMs are, to some extent, intrinsically unsafe. They're not really controllable. companies fine-tune them so that they don't give you a recipe of a bioweapon, but you can always jailbreak them. You can always give them a prompt that was not imagined by the designers that will get it to produce, to answer a question it should not answer. Again, as I said, they're not going to invent anything, so it's not going to be information you can get in other sources. But it's a consideration. So those systems are intrinsically unsafe, but they're not that smart, and so they're not that dangerous. Okay. Now, the next generation AI systems may reach at some point humanoid intelligence. It's not going to happen tomorrow. Okay. We have a number of years, perhaps decades, to think about it. But those systems, if they are based on the blueprint that I described, objective-driven AI, they are much more controllable because you give them an objective and they can do nothing but fulfill this objective, take actions that fulfill this objective, and you can make them subject to guardrails, safety guardrails, that cannot be jailbroken. Because it's not fine-tuning, it's actually putting an objective function directly in the inference procedure that prevent the systems from producing unsafe behavior, assuming their world model is accurate. So I think there is a design for safe systems, which I'm working on with several colleagues. And there I think we have a way to make the system secure.